We're just going to be going through how to build an ABM program that actually converts. Um, Currently, we're running this internally at full scale. We've done this for about 4 years now, and we have the systems and processes down to a T. This started out as, again, like a 10 account program, and we've gotten it to this point. So we're doing 200 accounts every month for the last 4 years. So this means on LinkedIn, we are building 200, and then this month about 350 campaigns on LinkedIn with customer logos in each one of the ads, with BDR outbound to these accounts. So in terms of tech stack, super lean. We're not using any intent data tools or anything like that. The only thing we're doing is we use UserGems data for our job changes and new exec hires, but that's something you can do manually. It's not something that's going to be really easy to scale to 200 when you're doing the job change tracking manually, but at this low scale, you can work with your BDRs or your AEs to find some of these accounts where they've manually tracked a job change or something like that. Right now, this contributes to 15% of our sales pipeline. Sometimes it goes a little bit higher, and about 15% of every single one of these accounts turns into an op for us within those periods. So huge pipeline driver for us. And then in terms of scope of who's managing the program, it is me in terms of account selection, some ad template building. But outside of that, I only use 3 contractors, so out-of-country contractors, to actually build the ads. So they fill in all those company logos, and then 2 of them will actually execute the campaign creation. I'll share a little bit later the exact thing that I send over to them to actually get that done, and I'll give you guys that as a resource as well. So once you do have one of those contractors, it's a good template just to send over to them. My goal is to get you guys to the point where you can do 5 to 10 accounts early, build a minimum viable product. Each account should have about 2 previous customers or more. We run about 5 to 7 on a lot of ours just to give our BDR some ammo when reaching out to these accounts, but that's the key to getting these programs to convert. Really decent conversion in terms of actual ad clicks to demo request. But a lot of these will still come through BDRs after seeing the ads. So it's kind of a 2 + 2 = 5 approach. Really basic in terms of the actual structure of the ABM program. First, you're going to be defining that ICP and persona, prioritizing accounts, then drilling down to prioritize prospects for your BDRs. Marketing campaign for us is just the LinkedIn side of things. This can also play into if you are using a 6th Sense or demand base. I think demand base is actually on the call with us. You can use that intent data at the account level to stack it with the prioritizing prospects as well based off of their previous relationship, and then rolling that into any programmatic or other display that you're going to be running on that side. And then good old sales marketing relationship with the sales outreach. The main reasons, so I do a lot of customer calls, usually around 4 to 5 a week, going through this exact stuff with them. So the things I keep seeing why these programs are failing is overcomplicating early programs. That can be head count that's way too high for managing an early program. Tech stack that's just way too extreme for this. BDR team doesn't have the right contacts is the next step. Trusting your BDR team to actually go out there and prospect every single one of your accounts, especially when you get to this 200, 300 scale, is a pipe dream. It's not going to happen the way you always want it to. So being able to provide these accounts as accounts to your BDR team with, hey, these have these previous customers here. This is the exact thing you need to say to them to get them to convert. And I'll share that playbook as well in terms of what our outbound ADRs are actually sending these accounts. And then prioritizing nebulous signals. So your BDRs aren't going to be calling these accounts saying, hey, I noticed your account was surging. It's not something that is going to get a good response. It's not something that's actually actionable. So being able to reach out, say, hey, just saw you're a new exec in this role, you're trying to make an impact, really good segue into those conversations. Or B, hey, you used us previously. Looks like when I'm looking back, you guys generated a ton of pipeline with us. Let's make that happen again in your new role. So this is what we're defining and aligning in terms of ICP and persona criteria. So you can add in like tech stack, all the typical ABM stuff. But again, function, seniority, other, and then if you're using UserGems, I think we have a couple customers on the call. Definitely use your keyword inclusions and exclusions to build out those job changers. These are the key things. Fit, intent, engagement, all fantastic, all necessary for an ABM program. But again, prioritize those relationships because you are reaching out to the individuals at those accounts. The more of those you can give your BDR team, the better. These are the stats we're seeing in terms of relationship signals for ABM. So 2 times higher win rates, 54% larger deal sizes, and 12% shorter sales cycles. This is something too, if you can show your ABM program is winning at a higher rate with larger sizes and shorter sales cycles, your available budget just increased significantly, and your buy-in from the sales team goes up as well. And I'll pause here. I've just been kind of information dumping. Any questions so far? Keep on going. The second signal that I've been mentioning is new exec hires. So again, we're UserGems, we automate this piece, but go into Sales Nav, your Zoom info, manually try and find some of these. Find those new exec hires as soon as they happen. We actually ran the test on this one in terms of when they're converting and how it impacts their conversion rates. So new execs are converting about 3 times higher in their first 3 months than after 1 year. So some of these delayed signals around these relationships get significantly less impactful the longer you wait on these. So being able to do this as like a monthly program really capitalizes on that 3-month window, especially if your BDRs are reaching out a little bit beyond that 1-month window. They're continuing to nurture them 45 plus days out after that initial job change. They're still within that high conversion window. And these are kind of drilling into the exact people we're prioritizing. So the whole idea here is kind of based around Hockey Stack just released their report, and it's showing about 2,600 impressions to get somebody to convert. All of these past customers, past prospects are completely mitigating having to get those 2,600 impressions. They've already been a part of a closed won deal, a closed loss deal, even open up contacts, demo requesters, admins, users, anything in that pool is already going to be more accelerated than working them through a full marketing funnel before that demo request conversion or the sales conversion. So again, prioritize, bump those to the top. If they have new buyers, new buyer promoted, or just new buyers in general. Won't go into that one too much. It's sometimes a black box of exactly how BDRs are going about this. We've seen some pretty less than ideal manual processes. So figure out how your BDRs are actually finding those prospects, because if you don't have that alignment between your BDR team and your team, that can be the reason your whole ABM program fails. You need to know exactly where they're getting those and assist as much as possible. So form that relationship with your BDR leaders, figure out, drill down into exactly the process behind how your BDRs are finding these prospects. And Whitney, do you have a question?
Yeah, how are your BDRs finding prospects? Like, are you using tools or Sales Nav or?
Yeah, so UserGems automates it on our side. So it pushes it right into our Salesforce, so they don't have to go out prospecting or anything like that. It pushes all of the people that they need to reach out to, and then it prioritizes them based off of relationship, new exec hire, promotion, previous relationship stuff.
We do have UserGems.
Yeah.
I'm not the main user at all. So it's not just going after the one ICP that switched from a customer to a new, it's going up the entire, like it's a full database.
Yeah, so some people will swap UserGems out for a Zoom info or something like that. I'm not saying that everybody needs to do that, because Zoom info is kind of one of those pieces of a lot of orgs, but reach out to your CSM and actually ask about this, because those new exec hires are something that UserGems will surface. Those any new entrants into new accounts, also them leaving as well. So ask your CSM, and especially before you launch an ABM program.
Yeah, it's good to know.
And again, former champions, rest of the buying group. Try to get 5 to 7 with this pilot program. Try and get 2. 2 previous champions will make an account convert much higher than 10 other prospects at those accounts.
Isaac, I got one question for you.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that all your prospecting happens within UserGems, kind of automates all of that for you. Does that also automate the identification of those new target accounts that you might want to go after? In that case, is that only defined by when your champion moves to one of them? So once that's the only thing that would indicate something that you'd want to go after? Or would there be like a target account that would be totally out of your world that you maybe would want to go after? And if so, how would you identify and then pursue that?
Yeah, so UserGems will identify new accounts that they've moved to as well. So if somebody moves to a new account and it's not in not in Salesforce for you, it'll automatically create that new account record. It'll create the new buying group around that account as well, and show all the job changers within there.
And that's all based on ICP and persona.
Yep. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So
Nice.
so if they move to a non-ICP account, it wouldn't surface that unless
Okay.
you have it set up that way. Some people choose to do that, but
And so
yeah.
for a company like UserGems, where you really could apply it pretty much any business that operates online in some extent, do you kind of define your ICP more based on profitability or based on just the broadest that you can get? Like what's your kind of best practice for defining that ICP when you can apply anywhere?
Yeah, so we go a little bit broader than most,
Okay.
because again, we can apply to other industries, and we're also just trying to build out, is there use cases in other spaces. One of the interesting ways you can actually do this too is defining ICP at, so like if we're trying to drill down into software companies, we want to make sure they're a good fit. We actually define our ICP sometimes for ABM based around what percentage of their team is sales. So if a company doesn't have a large sales org, a lot of the time they aren't a good fit. So you actually using ratios
Oh,
of
I see what you mean. Okay.
can actually be a good way of defining your ICP as well.
Okay.
You kind of drill into, see if like your RevOps team can drill into your top 10% of accounts, what does their percentage breakdown look like? And actually use that to help define your ICP even more.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Hand raiser as well.
Yeah, I was just curious if you don't have the scale to have that many kind of like X customers, X champions to add to the target list, like what do you do then?
Yeah, rely on new execs as your signal until you can get to that point.
Yeah.
Before you can buy intent software or anything like that, it's one of the cheapest ways to identify some of these target accounts when you're in that sub 10 range. I mean, again, UserGems as a whole, like we've been running this program since we first started. So even before we were using this as a major signal for account selection, we were still using new
The new hires was,
yeah. And again, with 10 accounts, it's pretty easy to manually identify.
Yeah.
So starting small, it's a good way to do it.
Also,
These,
when you're
yeah,
defining
yeah.
ABM, is there, like, I guess internally in my head, I'm thinking it's only for like enterprise accounts or these huge accounts, but do you also define ABM as just, it doesn't matter how big or small the company is, it's just if they're a fit?
Yeah, so we'll go down to about 100 employees as our lowest. For the sake of LinkedIn ads, 300 is going to be your ideal lowest just because of audience sizes. And we have a small enough group here, so I will give kind of a nice way to get around that. So when you're building out these audiences, you can add in filler companies. So if you are a smaller company that targets sub 100 or like SMB market, you can actually drill down into your target and then maybe throw in an HVAC company. They don't spend a ton of time on LinkedIn. If they see these ads, they really don't care, but it can get that audience size over that 300 mark. One of the things we found too is when you go that small, ABM is much more impactful. People at Cisco are getting ABM constantly. If you're at a 50-person company and you see a ad with your logo in it speaking directly to you and you have personalized outreach around it, that account will convert higher. So if you do go after SMB market, it's sometimes even more impactful.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Your ads on LinkedIn then are just targeting basically everybody that works there to effectively.
So I'll go into the exact definition that I give to my contractors to actually build these. But we start as narrowed as possible. And then bump it out until we hit that targetable amount
of 300.
Yeah.
So if Symphony AI, for example, if you have 300, like you need to get to 300 people to be able to create a campaign to not campaign group, campaign to target.
Yep.
So you would start with your 5 or 6 execs or whatever. Obviously that's not 300. And then I guess I'm just curious how you go from like 10 people at one account to 300 to be able to target an ad, or is that just where the filler company comes in?
Yeah, that'll be where the filler company comes in, and a lot of the time, so these two will be linked to native targeting. So we'll go into what that definition looks like, and I'll show
Okay,
some
yeah,
too.
Very interesting.
Let me open this up for y'all. Perfect. This is what I'm sending over to our contractors. Here's the next batch of ABX. I give them when it'll be running. I give them the account list that I want to be going after, and then I give them the ads. So one of the contractors has already gone through and actually filled out these ad templates for us with the company logos, everything like that, for me to pass over to our campaign team. I give them the one thing with contractors is make sure you are as prescriptive as possible, just like absolute base, click here, here's what to do when this happens. So duplicate this template, set up the daily budget, follow the sequence until the top right notification turns from the left image, too small, into the right image right here. And then I give the exact definition of how we're going: locations, company, job function, seniority, and then excluding certain functions. So again, this is kind of what our base targeting looks like for those campaigns. Going down here, if it's too small, remove seniorities. Still too small, remove job functions. Still too small, narrow the filter for engineers. So open it up a little bit wider. And then last ditch effort, send it over to me, because then it's usually a company has heavy population in India is what I see a lot of the time, or South America, and those aren't included in there. So I'll add those in to expand the audience a little bit. One of the things too that we've seen is even when you start going a little bit wider on your definition on the targeting, the conversations it starts internally is really, really beneficial. The amount of times we see screenshots of this sent to our ICP from somebody that's not ICP. If you're targeting BDRs are very vocal with their BDR leaders about what software they're interested in. So kind of find that bottom-up approach if there is one, and possibly include them in those audiences.
That's exactly how you guys sold us, by the way, was getting in front of some people who didn't have any actual influence, but they thought it was cool enough to bring it up to the people who did have the influence, and then here we are. So it totally does work on us.
I love it. Perfect. Just example on the outbound piece, so the BDR piece. Here's the cold outreach stats on the left-hand side. Here's what happens when you start targeting those past customers. So 26% reply rate, 22% clicked, 82% open. New hires plus cold, even then we're looking at a 14% reply rate, 70% open. So comparing to this, these signals help a ton with the outbound portion as well.
One question on the campaign setup side, and maybe you cover this, but I missed it. So the way you would set this up is you'd have those contractors create the actual ads that have the customized assets that include the prospect logo and all that good stuff and all the relevant, very specific material. And then you go in and create a campaign targeting just that, make sure just those personas at that company are targeted. And then you backfill it with kind of less prioritized contacts until you hit a threshold. And is there kind of a stopping point? I only ask that because the other kind of way that we sort of use the LinkedIn stuff is by seeing what they're engaging with. So if we have like a great piece of content, we target one our specific target company that we're going for, it still is a valuable asset per se that's maybe not as customized, and so we want it to go broader. But you're saying don't do that, just have it go as super specific, and that campaign just covers that one company and that's it.
At lower scale, you'll be able to do more stuff with like retargeting based off those. I would still push for as narrowed in as possible.
Okay.
For 350 accounts, I spent less than 15 grand targeting those. and the amount of pipeline that campaign generates definitely exceeds 15 grand,
Okay.
which is great. So the more narrowed you hit, the cheaper the program is, while still hitting like a frequency of 5. So you still have good rotation on those. Then you can also layer in maybe a retargeting layer off of those as well. So you could even do like a single ad click retargeting and select those campaigns as your single ad click retargeting.
Okay.
It's based off those too.
Gotcha. Okay. But the kind of rule of thumb is like 1 campaign per target account that you're going for, and then just backfill only when needed. Okay,
Yep.
makes sense.
Bingo.
Okay.
For the UserGems customers, we pass these accounts over to our BDR team. All they have to do is click add to outreach sequence. So if you're outreach or sales loft, these playbooks will already be built out for you in outreach. If they aren't, hit up your CSM and they'll import those playbooks for job changers, new exec hires directly into outreach or sales loft for you.
Okay.
For non-UserGems customers, go to our site and go to resources and then playbooks. And we have the exact sequences, the LinkedIn message you send, the email you send, what timeline to send all these on, depending on the relationship. We have that built out already for you. So any non-UserGems customers, feel free to copy that playbook.
Out of curiosity, if you are a UserGems customer, are all BDRs in my org logging into UserGems, or is there an option that they're just in Salesforce and using because they
a lot of your BDRs will not know you even have UserGems sometimes.
Yeah.
Because everything just goes into Salesforce already. So it's a good education piece on the marketing side. So if you launch a program like this, let them know, hey, you'll have this iframe in Salesforce. It'll say UserGems, prioritize those contacts.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the signal on the ads? So you run the ad and send it to the BDRs concurrently, or do you wait for a signal on the ad before you give to the BDRs?
So we've tested both, and there's sometimes a little bit of a difference, but not too much of a difference. So we actually run a high touch, low touch outbound sequence when you get to this scale. I'd maybe look at doing something like this. So we run ABM outbound to junior personas at accounts before we run the rest of the campaign and the senior ones, because what we found too is you can get on calls with, especially if you're selling to sales roles, an ADR talking to an ADR, that ADR is going to spill a lot more information, the pain points in the company, things like that, that they're able to use as ammo for going to director VP plus. So it can be a good playbook to actually go after junior personas first before going to director plus.
Got it. So you do that before you start firing up LinkedIn spend.
Yeah, we can do it before. Right now, this last batch I ran, super high conversion rates. We're probably going to be around that 15% this month. And we ran them concurrent. So I actually just
ran them concurrent,
exact same time. So
got it. And do you stop that?
Good.
Yeah, and do you stop the ad once the account enters into an opportunity?
I currently don't, just because of how cheap it is per account. The more people you can get in from the buying committee, usually the better. The higher chance. So if one person drops off in the sales cycle, at least your BDR AE has a backup to reach out to.
Got it. So you're leaving them in there until further
we run a
30
30-day ad cycle, and our ABM BDR outbound is around 45 days. We've actually opened it up a little bit more to allow BDRs to have some free reign over how they're customizing those and how long they're prospecting as well.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You're running the ad the whole month then.
Yep, 30-day cycle on the ads though.
Yeah.
That was actually a great segue into a question that I kind of had, and that was, how much control do you recommend giving to BDRs as far as like letting them orchestrate this whole process?
Be very prescriptive at first.
Okay.
Because BDRs, especially like if they're BDR leader saying, hey, marketing is going to be running this program, unless those leads you've been passing your BDRs have been just like top tier forever, they're not going to act as hard as they should on these. I would definitely be really prescriptive and monitor activity on these. So at least that way, hey, this didn't convert this month. You're able to go in and look at the BDR activity. It's like, oh, okay, they outbounded to one person per account and they only sent them 2 emails and no cold calls or something like that. So definitely monitor it.
Do you rate their messaging or give them bullet points so that it's a succinct go to market?
We do. So up until a couple months ago, we actually had a prescribed sequence on these, and then a couple of our BDRs went outside the sequence, and they got some good conversion rates. So once that started to happen, but again, we've been running this program for like 4 years, so they kind of knew the existing talk track sequences, so it's cohesive across the board. And now they're able to tweak it, but still staying, I mean, on message.
Thank you.
Yeah. Chris, Brian, Unique, any questions on your end too?
No questions from me. It's pretty straightforward.
Great, cool.
I have one more
for us.
What was that, Chris?
I said Peter's been covering it for us.
Oh,
We're
cool.
the same team.
And Brian, what did you? I can't remember if you said anything.
No, this has been great. I appreciate you walking us through this.
Awesome.
Isaac, I have one more question for you, if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
definitely. Go for it.
So the outbound component of this is I guess my question is like, how do you, when you run a campaign, are you measuring against the budget of the combined BDR and ad effort? I guess my question is like how does the ad even help?
Yes.
Right,
So
like-
the ad does help. So this month, I mean, we're constantly, like my Slack channel with demo requests. I track where the demo requests are coming from, and it's pretty heavy on ads this month. So people actually clicking through.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see. So yeah. So you're basically the first touch would be the BDR outreach in a lot of cases, but their response rates are, they can never get a response, but you do get a demo request through the ad.
We're still at 26 reply rate on job changers, so we still get a lot of replies. So that's, I mean, the program converts really well on both sides, which is huge. Part of the reason it works so well. So you still will get a lot through the BDR side. Luckily, BDR team for us rolls into marketing. So it's basically whoever starts the program is usually going to get the quote unquote attribution or the credit for the program.
Yep.
But yeah.
Got it. So you're, but the campaign budget of the ads is sort of built into the budget of the outbound work. Yeah. Okay. So even though you might get an account like into an opportunity and there never was a demo request or even a click on the ad, I know that's probably rare, but that ad spend is, you're still attributing towards driving that account penetration.
Yeah.
Did you have to get buy-in for that? Because every dollar here where I work is scrutinized, and we don't have that kind of agreed go-to-market effort. And I think too, especially if you're going after the like bigger accounts, you need a lot more impressions and sometimes a lot more activity. And unless there's a click or a demo conversion, it looks like wasted ad spend to my leadership team.
Definitely have to get buy-in. That's part of the reason why I definitely recommend starting small on this one. Tag them all in Salesforce, see how they convert, and then use that to start that conversation.
Okay.
I think Chris, you had something on your side.
Isaac, I had a couple of questions. Yeah, you mentioned the 7x4 or 7x4. What was that in reference to? And then the second question I have is, do you guys have like best practices, ad templates and things like that we could look at or create some stuff off of?
The ad template, the best I had was the one I showed of just like, the one thing I will say is try to spark curiosity as much as possible. Our previous ads were actually showing, hey, this champion, we showed a headshot, moved from this company to this company. Have you reached out to them yet? Fantastic engagement, but lower click-through rate. So I switched over to this more like blurred out ad template where we're showing, hey, you missed 80% of these job changes. Have you reached, or I can't remember the exact messaging. You've missed 80% of these job changes. Then we're showing blurred headshots underneath to spark curiosity, drive more clicks that way. Lastly, if you are not, or Chris, what company are you at again?
TCW Global.
Okay, perfect. You actually just signed too. Are you a customer, right? Perfect. Awesome. Well, no data test on the side. I would ask your CSMs if you're kind of wondering about this. They might have already run a data test. hop in there and actually look at what it looks like in terms of where people are missing. You can kind of use that to build a use case for approaching ABM with job changers. So find out how many of those job changers you guys are tracking with UserGems and dive in that way.
Yeah, no, that's kind of our whole
Cool.
strategy, is to make sure that like our ABM strategy currently is all falling under this UserGems initiative. Might get bigger after that, who knows? But to your point, it's kind of starting with that MVP version of this to get it going. But then kind of a follow-up question to that was, so you mentioned that your BDR team flows up under marketing.
Mhm.
One of the issues that we're kind of having to not figure out, but a hurdle we're trying to figure out is how to restructure under this new, if we have UserGems generating a lot more inbound and automated leads coming in our way, it kind of changes the way that our sales structure works. So I guess what's kind of the successful sales org that you guys have put in place at UserGems that lets this flow properly? There's not conflicting buy-ins or, things like that.
Yeah, definitely. Right now it's VP of marketing. We have demand leader, BDR leader, and then content kind of on its own there. So BDR leader still rolls up into VP of marketing for us. Do you guys have the freedom to reorg like that?
A little bit, not a ton,
Cool.
but we have a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
But we're pretty mobile as well, so the titles or the flows isn't quite as important to us around here as much as just figuring out how to get this working.
Yeah.
It's just to know who has to do what. Yeah. So it's not the titles, but it's who's doing what when. So
that's kind of the discussion we've been having internally, is when we're launching programs, we're less concerned about stepping on toes and more about just like getting programs launched. People are going to be having their hands in a lot of different places. Once you get to the point where you're stepping on toes is the point where you can start organizing those things and dealing out who does what.
that's a great point.
So start unorganized sometimes can be great before you get a full org, and you also might discover something about the processes that makes you org it in a different way.
For sure.
Yeah.
Love it.
Isaac, one last question for you. Are there any other channels that are also being layered on top of this, or is it really the like hyper-targeted LinkedIn ad and the outbound sequence?
That's it right now. I'm a huge proponent for simple ABM programs. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool, man. Thanks for sharing.
Awesome. Thank you guys for showing up. I'm glad we were able to work through some of this. If you guys especially get something going or you get like the beginning pieces of it, let me know. I'm always happy to hop in on customer calls to work through your ABM program. Kind of help you guys stand that up.
Awesome. Yeah, no, we should be launching. We have our final test today with Steven and Justin to get our final kind of short test going, and then we should be able to do the full run. I think we have 20,000 champions that we signed up for, so hoping to do that. And then next step would be the account tracking, and then we can enable all of this stuff that you guys talked about today. So I'm super excited and ready to get all that going.
I'm excited for you guys. Yeah, that'll be a good one. I think it'll be solid.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. We'll see you.
Happy going. Bye.